There are so many headlines in the world today and so many tragic stories that it's hard sometimes to cut through the noise of what's going on in our world and focus on where we can go. I'm here today as the founder and CEO of Team Kids to share a little bit of a different headline, one that at the time I didn't know would spark a dream and change the lives of so many people. In 2001, I was home and working on a program that I had an idea with after I was in grad school to change the way kids view themselves, to mobilize young people to be the leaders that could change the lives of people in need. And I wasn't sure how best to do that. I wasn't sure, what would kids be most passionate about? How could we hook them into knowing that they can make a difference in this world? And in 2001, I read this article, and it struck me as so powerful. In this article is a little boy named Jeremy, Captain Steve McHale, and paramedic Jim Cass. And this little boy had one of the rarest heart defects known in our world. There were 5 to 7 kids, I don't remember exactly. And these firefighters, Truck 6 would race to Jeremy's house. Nobody, dispatch didn't even use an address. They just said Jeremy's house. They would race there and shock his life, his heart back multiple times a week, save his life. And so as I was thinking about this program and how can we bring a mission to empower young kids, I was so excited to read this article and think our kids could help them. The family needed to get Jeremy to the Mayo Clinic for heart surgery. And the insurance paid for the surgery, but not the medevac, which cost about $20,000. So they didn't have the money to get Jeremy to the Mayo Clinic for heart surgery. So I took the article and I took it out to my front yard. My kids and their friends, Jen and Annie, were playing hockey and riding skateboards down the curbs. And I ran out with this article and I said, look at this little boy. He needs help. He needs help from our community and from kids to get this heart surgery so he could live. And what I saw changed me forever. This group of kids felt bad for a minute and instantly were like, we could sell popsicles, we'll raise the money, we'll have a car wash. We can ask our parents for money, we can go door to door. And they instantly took it upon them to figure out a way as kids to save the life of another kid. And I have never seen just like such instant manifestation of purpose in anyone of any age. And as young people, they knew that they could do this. And so let me actually. So they got to work. These are our founding kids, and I just have to say that the little one in the overalls is my daughter, Molly, our youngest of 5, and she's sitting right here. The kids got to work. They decided they were gonna sell pancake breakfasts. They had these meetings, these planning meetings at Dave Robbins Park in our community. And they're sitting somewhere on swings, some were sitting in the sand. And they had these plans, like who's gonna sell after school, who's gonna ask for money, I'll ask money from my grandparents. And they just started putting all these plans into action. And I was blown away with the seriousness that this group of young people had with the chance to make a difference and save a life. So I called Captain Steve McHale, who's in the picture. He's on the far right, actually, with his arms crossed. And I called the fire station and I said, Captain Steve, I read your article and I have hundreds of kids that want to help raise money for Jeremy. And his words were like, oh, that's really nice. But he was very kind of a naysayer. Like I knew he wasn't buying into the whole things that kids could help. And later on, he did tell me, he said, I thought to myself, how are kids going to help me? This is serious. This little boy is dying. And what, they're going to bring me a bunch of sticky pocket change? So even though he said, oh, that's great, I knew it wasn't really going to go well. And the fire department was trying to raise money to get Jeremy to the Mayo Clinic. Well, the kids raised $2,500 selling popsicles, which was about $2,000 more than what the fire station had raised. And Captain Steve said, I'm going to talk to Jeremy's mom because maybe these kids are onto something. Maybe we need to be part of the kids' team. And the most amazing thing happened. This is paramedic Jim Cass on stage with Jeremy, and they brought Jeremy to our kickoff assembly, and the kids got to meet Jeremy. And It was a really big decision to do that because his life was so precarious. I had talked to Dr. Milan, the principal, and I said, what if he doesn't make it? We mobilize hundreds of kids to save his life. It's a risk, right? And Dr. Milan looked at me, I'll never forget, and she said, let him do it because they'll know they did everything to help. So this happened. It was so amazing to see the kids, see Jeremy, and after the work that they'd done. But the thing that struck me so much about this day was Captain Steve up on the stage. So often, people in power invite kids to join them. But what Captain Steve said was, can we join your team? Can we be on your team? And you could feel the power shift to the kids. And I was sitting in the back on this somewhat wet, sticky linoleum sink in the back of the multipurpose room here. And I could see the kids, you could hear a pin drop. And one of the kids elbowed the guy next to him and said, they're on our team, they're on our team. And I remember sitting back there thinking, you know what? I never thought at the planning that we would partner with public safety. But what I witnessed, I just thought, this is exactly what Team Kids is. This is what kids need. They need mentors, they need heroes who believe in them. They need a chance to matter. They need a chance to make a difference. And so sitting in the back, I thought, I don't know how to recreate this right now, but every child needs to know the heroes in their community and know that they matter, they're significant, they're needed. So it was an amazing assembly. Shortly after, the kids decided they wanted to have a pancake breakfast with the fire department. Again, meetings at the park. Within a week, we were planning a pancake breakfast at our community park. Almost every day, paramedic Jim Cash showed up at our garage to donate cases of pancake syrup and pancake mix. So I had a OCFA at my house almost daily. These are actually 3 of our kids in front of our house. But the amazing thing, everything was stored in our garage, but the kids would take stock. They had their lined paper with markers, and they were keeping all of the stock of what we needed for the pancake breakfast. It was amazing to see the ownership that they had. So soon enough, we had calls. My phone was ringing off the hook. Companies wanted to donate food. We had pony rides donated because it was in the news. We had the story in the Orange County Register and the LA Times. And we were on our way to this pancake breakfast. The fire chief, Chip Prather at the time, came and flipped pancakes. And an amazing thing happened that day. The reporters came out. They wanted to meet Jeremy, but they wanted to meet these kids. Who are these kids who are stepping up and doing something that adults couldn't do? And how are they motivating this whole community? And I'll never forget this day. We had an LA Times reporter interview one of our kids, Matthew. And I was listening in, and she said, what happens if it's impossible to raise enough money to get Jeremy to the Mayo Clinic? And he looked at her almost with pity. And he said, impossible just means we didn't try hard enough. I couldn't believe it. And the reporter just looked at me like, who are these amazing kids? And it was just such a beautiful outpouring of our community and, again, witnessing the power of our public safety partnerships. The amazing thing is the dream was achieved. The news from the pancake breakfast went out to the LA Times, the Orange County Register, and the news was out about this beautiful little boy. And the first thing that happened was we got a $1,000 cashier's check from a businessman in Germany. He went through LAX and picked up an LA Times, and when he got to Germany, he sent a check for $1,000. And he said, this is for this program, to find out a way for more kids to go through this program and learn they can make a difference in the world. The next day, Captain Steve got a letter from a call from a celebrity in Hollywood. And he asked Steve how much money is needed. Steve said $20,000, and we had $2,500. And the next day, the celebrity, Steve found a cashier's check for $17,500 in the mailbox. I'm gonna just grab a water really quick. Thank you. So Steve found this cashier's check in the mailbox, which was just amazing. And then that was in the newspaper. We got another headline. And soon following suit, we had a very generous businessman who called, and he donated his jet, his pilot, and his fuel. And within a few days, Jeremy, his parents, paramedic Jim Cass, were in a jet and on their way to Minnesota. And I'm really, really proud to say that Captain Steve here, this is Captain Steve and I in our founding program, he became our founding board president. And he said, I learned the most important lesson in my life, to never count out kids. And when he retired, he told me, he said, I've seen a lot of miracles in this work, but my crowning achievement is starting Team Kids. Our founding kids are police officers, occupational therapists, teachers. Many of them have worked and still work for Team Kids. They've chosen lives of service because they learned at such a young age how great it feels to help people and that they have the power to help people. And the amazing news that I have to share is little Jeremy's 25 years old today. He has a lot of medical issues from the traumatic medical life that he had, but he inspires everybody who meets him. And the most powerful thing happened when the next year, Captain Steve brought Jeremy to Vista Verde for an assembly. And Jeremy was playing on the stage next to him. And Captain Steve told the kids, you could hear a pin drop. He said, you know, most of us go through our whole life and we never get a chance to actually save the life of someone. And he said, this little boy right here would not be here today if it weren't for you. That's what we're here for today. At that time, the news got out about Team Kids, and we had so many schools and other school districts. Why aren't we doing this? Why don't we have our police and firefighters teaching with us? It was just me. I wasn't even a nonprofit yet, and I didn't have a staff. And so suddenly we had a great demand. And I was thinking to myself, how do we get more resources, more people to teach? And I ran track at USC and did a lot of community work as an athlete. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a hold of UCI. They have tons of young undergrads who wanna change the world. What better, heroes and mentors could we have to our young kids than our young college students? So reached out to UCI 20 years ago and built this amazing program for undergrad students through their field study to come and be trained as interns and teach our program so our program could grow. And in fact, that's our number one way of our employment expansion is internship to employment opportunities. Having university students get with our coaches, drive into Compton, teach our program, learn how powerful it is. And so often, the majority of our staff is always our previous UCI interns. So we built an amazing program, and this was 3 years later when we built our program with UCI, and the UCI men's basketball team honored Jeremy. He loves to play basketball still, and there he is at UCI playing basketball. So the partnership grew with UCI. It's now our university-based strategic plan for growth nationwide. And today, the Team Kids Challenge is our flagship program. You'll hear a lot about it today. It's still a month long. This program was 24 days from the time I read the article till the time the kids started selling popsicles till Jeremy was on a jet. So the program today, the Team Kids Challenge, is taught in elementary schools, California, Arizona. We just got our first Department of Justice grant, Virginia, and in New York City in Brooklyn, all with public safety. And it's making such a tremendous difference in the lives of kids. And before I finish, I just want to share something personal, and bear with me if it gets difficult. You saw the headlines. We're all going through difficult things. And sometimes difficult things make headlines, and sometimes we're quiet and we hold them close. And sometimes you're on a stage in front of your community and feel like it's important to share. So last May, May 25th, not even a year ago, I was having some health problems. I was feeling dizzy. One day I went to pick up the hose in the front yard and I almost fell over. And then I started finding that I was finding it difficult to hear out of my right ear. So I went to the doctor, and my doctor said, it's probably nothing, but we should send you for an MRI, a brain MRI. And it's only 1 in 100,000 that it could be anything wrong. So I went for an MRI. My husband and I went for the follow-up appointment with the neurologist, and I heard the words that I have a brain tumor. Nothing stops yourself in your tracks like something like that. We all have a saying like things could be worse. Things could be more complicated. After all, it could be brain surgery. Which is great until it is. And so anyways, it was such a challenging time. And I share that for 2 reasons. One, we don't know what we're all going through. Our kids today are going through so many challenges, but they aren't often in a position to share what they're going through. And we get misjudged by our actions, our behaviors. Kids that might be violent, kids that might be drinking, getting involved in gangs. We need to stop and figure out what's going on in our kids' lives. You're going to hear from my good friend, Arshay Cooper, who's our keynote, whose beautiful smile and spirit on life with his family. You would never know the trauma he had overcome in his young life. So I just share that, just like our kids, just like Jeremy. You saw those beautiful pictures, those smiling pictures. You would never know that he had such a rare heart defect. And the second reason I'm sharing is because I'm still on a healing journey myself. I had the good kind of brain tumor, which I didn't know was a thing, which means it was benign. But it was a tumor in the worst spot. So it was up against my brainstem, and it was growing on my nerves. So it was a really scary journey to get through that. The tumor, my neurosurgeons, Dr. Freeman, Dr. Schwartz, the best in the world, they got the entire tumor, but in order to take it out, they have to permanently cut my balance nerve on the right side. So if you see me wobbling around here, I did not start the Cinco de Mayo celebration early, I promise. My balance is still off. And then unfortunately, they also had to cut my hearing nerve on the right side, so I'm permanently deaf on the right side. So also I'm sharing with you because this is the exact situation that is almost impossible for me to hear. So if I'm talking to you, please come and talk to me, but if I violate your personal space and I'm up trying to hear, just know it's just that. But you know what? I'm alive. I'm not paralyzed. And it, in some ways, my brain tumor was a beautiful gift because I know how precious life is. I know how important this work is for young people. And it's my dream to create a paradigm shift in our world for young people and how we treat them, how we serve with them, a paradigm shift instead of seeing kids as a powerful resource, leaders that can motivate entire communities, rather than all too often, problems to be mitigated. How do we treat kids? What programs so they don't get involved in drugs? How about if we empower the dreams they're born with to end cancer, to save the environment, to save the panda bears, to end violence and racism? They start that way. Those are the most passionate humans on the planet. It's not us. We lose that passion sometimes as we grow up. We need to tap into that. And so that is my dream, that we can do that, and that's what we can do here through collaboration and innovation. And that's again, why we are today, and what I hope is through today, we can help change the headlines that we opened with today and share the positive headlines of what kids can do when they have support. So thank you for listening to my story. I'm really excited for today. Thank you.
I wish I can have a lot of toys, but homeless people and food is even more important.
And take a seat right here for me.
Okay.
Awesome. Are you nervous at all? If you could have any wish, what would you wish for?
tough. Hard one. A robot that would do everything for me. A Bugatti, an invention. I wish that unicorns were real. I could have superpowers. To bend metal and bite it.
An endless pizza. You eat it, it comes back.
For more wishes for everyone so they could get whatever they wanted. Like for me,
having a better life and like not struggle with like my mom, seeing her like struggle with bills, so like have more money.
I would wish for like homeless people to not be homeless.
Change pollution.
Make a cure for cancer. Travel around and give people hope.
World peace.
Well, I watch the news a lot, so like I've noticed a lot of people getting killed or a lot of murders and stuff like that.
I don't know why people fight so much. I think that because they're just mad or frustrated a little bit, or they've just had a bad day. Sometimes the world makes me sad because people aren't educated enough to know about how unwise prejudice is. It's okay if everyone's different. God made us different ways. If everyone treated people with love, then Earth would be a better place to live.
If you were to give a message to adults, what would your message be?
Stop, look at what you're doing, forget about money, and think about what you really care about.
Because if you don't do anything about it, like to not help it, then it just gets worse.
I think it's really important that we love each other.
If we all work together, we can change the world. We can make a difference.
Do you believe that?